Blessings and welcome to the path to freedom and this beautiful journey that we get to take, this beautiful adventure that we get to partake in as we are continuously allowing for the greater, the grander, the next version of who and what we are, as we're continuously allowing for that which no longer serves to be dissolved, to be released, so that we continuously set ourselves free to soar, to shine, to glow beyond anything that we've ever imagined, regardless of conditions and circumstances. And that's kind of the key point to all of this, that we are setting ourselves free from conditions and circumstances and other individuals being and doing what the surface appearances, or this, not the surface appearances, the surface structures of our minds would have us believe that we need for us to keep moving forward, for us to be in peace, in joy, and harmony, and wholeness, and all of that. So this is a beautiful journey of liberation, of freedom, and I'm very grateful that you are here. My name is Daniel Roquillo, and yeah. This is good, and life is good. So today's topic is about how turbulence often emerges when we say yes to something. And the topic really is turbulence often follows a big yes. That is the topic, and it is it just came to me a few moments ago to have this topic, because this is the space that I'm experiencing right now, as I a few days ago caught a next iteration, a next stage, as to how I am to be of service, as to how I am to move forward. It was a beautiful expansion that happened, that I caught. It was a little bit surprising, and even though I was experiencing some resistance toward moving in this direction, because it would mean that I changed my way of life a little bit. And I'm not going to speak too much about the details about it, because it's still very tender, it's still very new, and I want to honor that. I want to let it sink in. But what I will say is that I said yes to it a couple of days ago, and I began to take action on it yesterday, and I was so pumped up. I was experiencing so immense levels of inspiration, and I was like, let's go. This is beautiful. This is amazing. Wow. And today I'm experiencing heaviness. I'm experiencing turbulence. I'm irritable. I am reactionary. And had this been a long time ago, had this been like 10 years ago, I would have asked, what is going on? I mean, yesterday I was soaring, everything was absolutely magnificent and wonderful, and today I'm like in a cold cellar. I'm in not complete darkness and not complete heaviness, but the contrast today from yesterday, it is dramatic. It is dramatic. And so I'm very grateful. I'm very appreciative for the experiences that I've had, allowing me to know that this is just what is. This is oftentimes what happens. Whenever we catch a big insight, a big realization, whenever we move into expansion in some kind of way, what happens is that we're accelerated, we're lifted up initially into a beautiful space of inspiration and joy and celebration over the new that is taking place. And this will be followed oftentimes by resistance, by heaviness, by dankness, darkness. And the only thing that is happening, and it is normal for us, like I'm working with an individual right now who they are experiencing something similar. They caught the next iteration of their lives and they were very pumped up about it, very psyched about it. And then a few days later, it was like they went into a pitch dark room and they went through quite of a turbulent space. And so what happens is that the ego, the map that we used to navigate with, what we used to know about ourselves, what we used to know about our lives, about who we are, that no longer is valid. Kind of like puberty. Puberty is something that we need to go through for us to move from childhood into adulthood. And puberty is more or less messy. Transformation is messy. The caterpillar that dissolves to allow for the butterfly to emerge, there's messiness there. So having the understanding, having the experience, realizing what is going on allows the messiness, the turbulence to just be, because this too shall pass. I know that either later on today or tomorrow or the day after, it usually doesn't take that long, that many days for me to move through these spaces. But I will move through them. The reconfiguration will happen. It is happening right now, and it will happen, and it will be complete when it is complete. It will be finished when it is finished. But there is a reconfiguration happening. The me that is, as I said yes to this expansion, I cannot bring my old self into that expansion. But I need to release and let go of who I was, of how I used to show up, how I used to operate, how I used to move through life, so that the new may emerge. We cannot ever use an old map for new territory. And every time we say yes to something new, be it a vision, intention, dream, a goal, we're moving into uncharted territory. We're moving into something new. We're leaving the familiar behind. We're leaving the known behind. And it is in this space that the ego screams the most, because it can protect us. It can keep us safe when we are in the familiar, when we are within the confines of our comfort zones. But us venturing outside of our comfort zones, it cannot protect us because it doesn't know what is out there. So it gives birth to and projects all kinds of reactions, emotional, mental. And I remember waking up this morning with the thought, who do I think I am to carry this out? Who do I think I am to be able to do what I'm being called to do, or what I've said yes to do? As I'm being called to allow for something beautiful to be birthed, to be midwifed. Who am I to believe that I can do it? Those thought forms are not as present anymore, but there's still the turbulence. And this is normal for us. So this is normal for us, period. So in this moment, let's take a deep breath. Take a deep breath in. release. And as we have begun to do, this is how we witness and observe. This is how we embrace and allow whatever we're experiencing, whatever we're moving through emotionally, mentally, intellectually, to just be. Another deep breath in. And breathing out. Because what I was gonna say is that there's nothing wrong. Just because we're experiencing negative, so-called negative emotions, so-called negative thought forms, it doesn't mean that something is wrong. It doesn't mean that there's something we need to fix. Getting us to believe that something is wrong, that there is something that we need to do to fix it, that's another ploy of the ego. Because when we move into the trying to fix, we move ourselves out of the beingness. We move into the doing realm. And so the reconfiguration, the integration, the embodiment is delayed and sometimes even denied when we move into immediately try to correct, make ourselves feel good, right? If the caterpillar, the moment it began to dissolve, if the caterpillar went into trying to save itself, correcting that which seems to be wrong, there would be no butterfly, because the caterpillar would keep itself intact. The caterpillar would keep itself whole. It would keep itself in coherence. But it is as it moves through the space of dissolution, that metamorphosis, where the coherence begins to dissolve, it is in that space that the butterfly is allowed to emerge. So there needs to be a space of this incoherence. There needs to be a space of dissolution. There needs to be a space of disharmony, so that the integration, so that the reconfiguration can happen, right? And just being with it, witnessing it, observing it, embracing it, allowing it, being as loving and kind towards ourselves as we can possibly be, recognizing that this feeling bad is good in progress. It allows for the transitioning to happen with all that much more ease and grace, all that much more flow. So once again, let's take a deep breath in. And releasing. Another deep breath in. Releasing. And this is, once again, as we've been talking about lately, this is the practice. Practicing the presence, practicing being mindful, practicing being fully present here and now, being grounded, centered, anchored in the nowness of this moment, witnessing and observing. I mean, this is how the trees remain standing, even in that big and mighty storm, because their roots run so deep into the ground that the storm, the winds, they cannot touch the trees. They cannot uproot the trees. They cannot disturb the peace that the trees are. And the trees, their branches, they may be tossed back and forth. They may be whipped. The leaves may be whipping. The twigs may be whipping. But the tree in and of itself, it remains centered, anchored, grounded, because their roots run so deep. And so we absolutely want to allow our presence roots to run very, very deep into the nowness in this moment. We want to be so centered, anchored, and grounded in this now moment that even when we're experiencing turbulence, it doesn't disturb our peace. It doesn't touch our peace. It doesn't rob us of our peace. And being with the breath, coming back to the breath over and over and over and over again. Coming back. beginning again, beginning again, beginning again. That is how we stay present. That is how we stay anchored. That is how we stay grounded in this now moment. So another deep breath in and release. Another deep breath in. We are not our thoughts. We are not our emotions. We do not need to attach ourselves to them. We do not need to identify ourselves with them. But we can remain witnessing and observing them. We can remain the consciousness that we are, through which these thought forms, these emotions flow and float. But we are not them. So let's set ourselves free to be with the turbulence, to be with whatever emotions. And it is our labeling them. It is our calling them this or that, good or bad, right or wrong, that gives rise to the challenges where our emotional and mental content is concerned. If we were to just let it be, let them be, without calling them anything, without labeling them anything, all we would know would be peace underneath the turbulence, even in the midst of this. Everything is nothing until we make it something. So we're wise to not make it anything. I know it's not easy. I mean, in the beginning, I absolutely labeled this inner turbulence as bad, as negative, as something that needed to be fixed, as something that was wrong. And I resorted to all manner of healthy and not so healthy ways of coping with it, of diminishing it, of trying to get rid of it. Now I'm just with it. I'm just sitting with it. I'm just walking with it. I'm just moving with it. And I can still smile. Even in the midst of this. So I forgot the topic for today. Something about turbulence always following a big yes. And the bigger the yes we say, the bigger our yes, the bigger the vision, the intention, the expansion that we say yes to, the more turbulence we will experience. And it is all right. It is all good. It is all good. All is still well. Something wonderful is still happening. Everything is still working for our highest good. Perfect preparation and unfolding is always happening. But there needs to be a space of integration. There needs to be a space of reconfiguration. We need to be the expanding channel, conduit, instrument through which the next stage of us or our visions or intentions may emerge. If we don't expand, there's not going to be any big vision manifesting. If the snake doesn't shed its skin, it'll be cramped into that too small of a space forever. And I've heard that there are crabs and perhaps lobsters that shed their shells as well, as they are growing, as they are expanding. And so do we need to release and let go of who we used to be, so that the next iteration of who we are may emerge. One last breath in. And release. I didn't mean one last breath, I meant one last set of breaths. So this is the last breath. And releasing it. So the invitation for us today is to, when we move through turbulence, when we move through a turbulent emotional space, that we just witness and observe it. We embrace and allow it, first of all. No need to resist it, no need to deny it, no need to try to run away from it or try to get rid of it, but embrace and allow it, just be with it. Allow it to be what it is, whatever it is. Then witness and observe it. What is the content? What is it saying us? What are the stories that we are being hijacked by, that we are experiencing? Just to expand our awareness. And then from there, that's the last stage of healing. We get to make conscious choices, and the conscious choice that we're invited to make is to just be with it, not react to it, not give it power, but move from a space of consciousness, a space of awareness. Questions we can ask are, this choice that I'm about to make, this choice that I just made, is this a reactionary choice, or is this a conscious choice? Am I moving from reaction, or am I moving from responding? Am I giving power? What am I giving power to? My emotional content, my mental content, the stories, the beliefs, or something higher, something more expanded? Thank you so much for tuning in, for participating. As always, please share if this resonates with you. Until we meet again, I absolutely, as always, bless our days, and I bless our ways, in the absolute knowing that all is well, that something wonderful is happening, that everything is working for our highest good, and that perfect preparation and unfolding is always happening. With much love, many blessings. Namaste.